In the battle for supremacy on the American continent, there are only two teams left. This is Team EG and Team Complexity. I think you would agree with me, Danny, fRoD Montaner, by the way. I think you would agree with me that this was expected.
Yeah, I mean, I really think it was expected just because some of the better known teams probably were going through some roster issues, so they never were able to probably join the online qualification. And then a couple other pretty mediocre teams, they just bailed out last moment. So I guess the group stage is a little bit weaker, but I mean some of the teams that were in the semifinals, like they're definitely like top 8, I'd say top 10 in the U.S. So they're not really too bad. But I think coming off a fresh boot camp, we started to play really well, and I think that's been helping us a lot too.
Both Complexity and Team EG have had very, very decent results lately in European tournaments. I'm actually very anxious to see how you're going to play. What can we expect from the match, from the final?
Yeah, I think it'll be a really good match. Like you said, both teams did really well in both of the tournaments respectively. I mean, probably coL had a really easy ride to where they got, but nonetheless, they probably should have gotten like top 5, top 8, just like we did at some point. So, you know, I think it'll be a really exciting match, and I think that we're going to try our best to bring some of the things that we brought over, because coL is a really heavy anti-stratting team. And I think that we've learned a little bit how to play against those type of teams, because we've had a couple of bad breaks against MTW from WCG and Arbalete. So I think that we understand that they're a very heavy anti-stratting team as well. So learning how to play against them would certainly help us against coL, and I think we can do really well since we have a lot of fresh stuff that they won't be able to find through demos and whatnot.
So what's generally the key to playing a team that anti-strats heavily? Because Jason Lake actually sent me a message through Jax saying, hey, we're going to anti-strat the hell out of them like any pro would do. So what needs to be done in order to beat a team which, you know, studies you?
Well, I think we just have to try and do our best to win pistol round, because I think the momentum that we can gain from a pistol round the first few free rounds, I think if we were to win the pistol in a 4th round, I think that we'll be able to jump on them to a point that they can't necessarily take as many risks to anti-strat us per se, because they don't have a big bank in their money. So I think that they'll probably play a little bit more reserved if they're low on cash, and we're forcing them to save often. So I think if we just jump on them early, I think that we'll have a good job of, you know, and a good idea of how to beat them and how to play against them. But certainly I think that, you know, getting off to a good start and basically just changing things up. You know, even if we take a risk and we lose, at the end of the day, we didn't fall into the trap of being anti-stratted. As long as we can get innovative and change things up a little bit more and take those risks, I think that we'll have a better shot at being able to beat teams that try and focus on what we do so much.
So a philosophical question now. What gives you the better chance of winning tournaments, anti-stratting or dictating how the game is played?
I think it's definitely dictating how the game is meant, like how you play the game. Because especially back in the day when we were with coL and we had our like championship runs and all that, teams tried to anti-strat us, and teams were beginning to form anti-stratting then, like fRoD anti-stratted us a lot. So I think we've gained a lot of experience on that, and I really think that being able to create your own momentum, because even MTW, let's say that when we played them on Dust 2 and they beat us really bad, even though they anti-stratted us a little bit and changed things up, they still kept their game plan and enforced their game plan. So regardless of what side you're on, whether you're anti-stratting someone or being anti-stratted, I think the most important thing you want to do as a team is get on top of them and whatnot. And you know, that's something that we have to do more so when we're the ones that are being looked at.
Speaking of MTW and lessons, you are still doing a little bit of catching up to the European teams. Obviously, you need to play more against them. Which team kind of teaches you the most, you as a group, e.g.? Playing against which team or observing which team gives you the best benefit?
I think as far as that goes, I think it probably would be maybe, I mean, every team is good in their own right. So MYM was good because they were a team that turned really aggressive on us. Like, you know, We May Fox is a very aggressive team, but when we beat them at Game Goon and some other tournaments, we've kind of dictated the momentum against them. So we kind of were the controllers and didn't let them play their game. But I think, to answer your question, I would say maybe SK, because we've beaten them many times where we come up short on advancing to the tournament against them. So I think the fact that we haven't had as good results against them motivates us to be a lot better, because even a team like MTW, we've had our successes against them, even though they've had the better, like the better victories against us lately. But I think we're catching up, and we're earning a lot of respect from those teams, and even like teams like Again and Mouse Sports. I think they respect us a little bit more because we practice really hard and we've been showing good results lately. But I think they know, and we all know, and we know as well as a team, that we have to keep confident and keep trying to learn because we've only been playing for less than a year now, so we still have to continue to learn. And even just like taking it back to like 2002 or 2003 when we were not that good, we're taking it the same way and keeping our heads confident to do that.
Now, at CeBIT, at the last year's global finals of the Intel Extreme Masters, both MTW and Team EG were kind of exchanging a little bit of a smack talk. Is the hatchet buried by now?
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, I think that they felt a little bit odd about having us back, and I don't really know. Maybe it was a lot of hatred that we didn't really deserve at points, but we came into the mindset knowing that we want to win and do our best. But we obviously, as players individually, maybe we don't stress it to other people because it's not really their business. But we know that we have a lot to learn, and it's we're taking baby steps at it. And I think they took things in the wrong way sometimes because other teams, they've helped us try and improve. Like SK, they boot camped with us a little bit. So I think they know that no matter what they do or say, that we're still going to try and win and be motivated. So I think it's just like I said before about getting respect from other teams. I think that they respect us more because they know that we're in it for the long haul and trying to improve our game really badly, rather than just come in trying to win some money and leave. We want to try and regain our at least top 5 in the world and try and get that respect factor coming really soon.
A few years ago, when people were asked to mention the top 5 players in the world, you were mentioned along with the other top 5 players in one breath. Now everybody kind of forgot about fRoD. Where do you think you stack up, like compared to players of Get Right or Neo's caliber?
Yeah, I mean, obviously I have a lot of respect for them. That's something that's helped me be who I was before, and something that motivates me to get to that same level again, because I have a lot of respect for those players. So when we play against them, I know that I can't just rush them and be aggressive. I mean, even if I do, I have to be smart about it, because that's when I instill the respect factor. And I basically try and learn my opponent really well. And it's a personal goal of mine to try and get back in that caliber. But at the end of the day, just like I knew in coL and just like I know now, it doesn't matter personally what my achievements are, as long as I can be the best teammate to my guys, because obviously we put a lot of effort, and everyone has so much skill nowadays that it's really hard for one player to just completely take over a whole match. Obviously a handful of rounds or a half maybe, but I know that I can't be as successful without my teammates. So for me, obviously I want to get back in that same breath, but to me it doesn't matter if I do or if I ever don't, because I want to be able to win and succeed with my team over anything.
Okay, the US has 2 very decent teams, or actually very good teams internationally, Team EG and Complexity. You're obviously going to represent the country and the continent at the Intel Extreme Master World Championship. How many other teams is the continent able to produce who would be able to challenge you domestically and other teams internationally?
Well, I mean, at least naming teams right now, it's a little bit more difficult because some of the teams are going through roster changes, and since we've been gone for about a month and a half from the 2 Chinese trips and the boot camp for about 2 weeks, I think we'll have a better idea. But I think there's probably about 2 or 3 teams that can always give us a run for our money domestically. And I don't really think they can compete internationally, but obviously in due time I think they can improve. And teams like that, I think, obviously I'm trying to answer this question from an outsider's perspective. I think that the best thing they can do is learn from us in coL, because obviously they don't have to play like us or really respect us too much, but they have to respect our work ethic and how we get to where we are. And that's something that can help a team improve and get better. And obviously some of those teams don't really have that respect factor, and they have slight skill, but I think that's what's kind of holding them back. And I'm sure that eventually people will start being a lot more respectful to everyone in general, and at least get better as a whole in the United States to be able to compete internationally a lot better.
Okay, tomorrow's final. You're never going to say that you take into account the fact that you might lose. So 2-1 or 2-0 in favor of EG?
I think that if we get off to a good start, I really think we can win in 2-0. I mean, obviously I don't really know the map system yet, but I kind of have an idea of what we may remove and what they may remove. So I feel really confident in those maps because we've either placed or performed really well against top teams in the world on those maps, or we know how we've changed and improved that even if we haven't played it. Because even like a map like Inferno, we never really played it at those other tournaments because it was not necessarily our weakest map, but we always thought that other teams may have been better on us on it. I think we played it every single match in the group stage, and we played it today against Sway. And I think we've changed a lot of our stuff to get a lot better because even playing against teams like Mousesports, for example, or again on Inferno and at the boot camp, they they put a lot of good showings on us, and they beat us really bad on some of them. So I think we've learned a good lesson on certain ways to play and whatnot, rather than dig our own, dig a grave for us. So take more risks and whatnot.
All right, good luck in the final, and thank you.
All right, thank you.